Tottenham are on the brink of chaos. Fans want Tudor gone now, but sacking him before the Liverpool game could actually ruin the club's season. Who should really take charge to save Spurs from disaster?
Tottenham. According to David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano, they are working on a replacement for Tudor, which means he will be sacked in all likely by Monday. You know what? I've got to say, this might shock people, but they're doing the right thing. They're actually doing the right thing. It's chaos. They have to take full responsibility. They have caused this mess, but they've got to make this change. And I actually think there might be an intelligence to the madness, because Tudor hasn't worked out. You know, it hasn't worked out. I don't even know why they went there. I don't know. Tottenham fans tell me, fans of Tudor tell me. I don't know. It was a weird appointment after Thomas Frank, and I've said it before. Thomas Frank needed to be sacked, but if they'd kept him till the end of the season, he would have kept them up. They weren't going to go down under Thomas Frank. I don't care what anybody says. Being in a relegation battle isn't acceptable, but they weren't going to go down. And now they could go down. So Tudor needs to go. Some people would say, well, why hasn't he been sacked already?
Mark Goldbridge says Tottenham Hotspur are likely planning to sack manager Tudor, according to reports from David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano. He believes it's the right decision because the manager hasn't performed well. He also says Tottenham made mistakes earlier and believes Thomas Frank might have kept the team safe from relegation if he had stayed. Goldbridge explains the club may wait until after the match against Liverpool FC to sack the manager, since Spurs are likely to lose anyway. Roberto De Zerbi is mentioned as a possible replacement, but the deal could be difficult. Spurs could lose to Liverpool and sack Tudor immediately, or win and delay the chaos. But bringing in a new manager now might destroy their reputation before he even starts. Who should really take over?
They're not going to beat Spurs. They're not going to beat Liverpool Spurs, are they? But if they did, those 3 points, you'd probably be able to stay up with Tudor, and then you can go for the manager you want in the summer, whether it's Pochettino or whoever. But if you sack him today and you bring your new manager in, you're probably still going to lose to Liverpool, and then you're tainting your new manager, aren't you? It's what I call the Amrim effect. We brought Amrim in to a shit situation. He lost all those games, and you've damaged his reputation before he has the pre-season and the transfer window. So I think that the question is, who are Tottenham going to bring in? Because, as I said, Thomas Frank would have kept them up and then probably should have been sacked in the summer.
Mark Goldbridge explains Tottenham's timing strategy for sacking Tudor. If Spurs lose to Liverpool FC, the club can replace him immediately. If they win, there's no urgent need, and the team can aim to survive relegation until summer. He warns that bringing in a new manager now could harm their reputation if they inherit a likely loss, calling it the Amrim effect. Goldbridge stresses the next manager should ideally start with the Nottingham Forest game, not Liverpool. He mentions possible candidates for Tottenham's next manager: Glenn Hoddle, Harry Redknapp, Tim Sherwood, and Sean Dyche, but highlights the dilemma. Even if someone keeps Spurs up, they might still not get the permanent job. Hiring a survival-style manager like Sean Dyche could backfire. Spurs' Champions League-level stars aren't fighters, they're stars. Can any manager really save this squad from disaster?
So what it's going to... You could almost say to Ancelotti, do you fancy a little job for 2 months before the World Cup? He's not going to do it, but you'd almost go and spend as much as you can to make it happen. Would Mourinho leave Benfica? No, well, he wouldn't come back to Spurs. But you know what I mean? I'd be looking at stuff like that. I'd be looking at the most expensive option that's nailed on to keep Spurs in the league. What they do, I don't know. As I've said before, I don't really know of a Spurs person that can come and do this job. There isn't. And they left it too late with Thomas Frank. They did leave it too late with Thomas Frank. But I do think they're making the right choice. As amazing as those words sound, I've seen Spurs fans saying, why is Tudor still there? We should have him out now. But if he goes, who's managing you against Liverpool? And what if you make that?
Mark Goldbridge critiques the idea of Tottenham hiring a firefighter manager like Sean Dyche or Sam Allardyce. He argues Spurs' current squad is used to top-level football and playing in the Champions League. They aren't suited to a battle-heavy, defensive style meant just to survive relegation. Goldbridge stresses Tottenham must act decisively to avoid relegation. even if it means spending big on a proven short-term solution. He notes the club left it too late with Thomas Frank, but still believes the current strategy, waiting to make the managerial change, is correct. This isn't just about sacking Tudor. Tottenham need a miracle worker. Their players won't fight for survival, and unless something amazing happens against Liverpool, the next manager faces a nightmare job.
This is a very specialist job now. You need Mr. Charisma that everyone buys into and gives everything for, or you need Mr. I know what I'm doing. I can get very, very quickly players playing for me. Because when you look at West Ham and you look at Forest, like, those players are giving absolutely everything, blood, sweat and tears, to stay up. And you look at Spurs and you go, these are not blood, sweat and tears players. They're not. These are down tools players. So Spurs are reaping the whirlwind of this atmosphere they've created at that football club where light switch players just get away with it. And they have to make a change. Unless Tudor does something amazing against Liverpool, they have to make a change. And they're right to give themselves time. But what that change is going to be, I don't know. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Mark Goldbridge responds to Spurs fans frustrated that Tudor is still in charge. He stresses that rushing a managerial change before the Liverpool FC game could backfire, and that Tottenham need time to line up the right replacement for the Nottingham Forest game. Goldbridge emphasizes that this is a specialist firefighting role, requiring a manager with charisma or instant influence, because Spurs' current squad lacks the work ethic seen in relegation battles at clubs like West Ham or Forest. Unless Tudor pulls off an incredible result against Liverpool, a managerial change is necessary. He concludes by noting Spurs' chaotic culture has contributed to the problem, and the club is right to act carefully but decisively.
Interesting updates around Tottenham again. Of course, we have got watch-alongs for you tonight as well. 5:30, we've got Chelsea, Newcastle and Arsenal, Everton. We'll be live for those at 5:15. And then 8 o'clock tonight, it's West Ham against Man City as well. So big football matches tonight. Looking forward to both. Take care, everyone. Get your comments in. Make sure you subscribe. I'll speak to you on the next one.
Tottenham Hotspur are in a full-blown crisis, and it's hard to know whether the club is being smart or reckless. Tudor's appointment has clearly failed. He hasn't been able to get the squad performing, and the team that should be competing in the top 5 and in the Champions League is now staring down the threat of relegation. Fans are furious, calling for him out immediately, but rushing a decision could make things worse. The timing of a managerial change is critical. If Spurs lose to Liverpool, replacing Tudor makes sense. If they somehow win, there's no need to panic, and the club can plan for a safer survival strategy into the summer. The real problem is deeper than just one manager. The previous decision to replace Thomas Frank with Tudor has backfired spectacularly, and the current squad simply isn't built for firefighter managers like Sean Dyche or Sam Allardyce. These players are used to Champions League football. They aren't the type who will fight for every second ball in a relegation battle. Bringing in a manager to just grind out results could clash with the players' mentality, making the situation even more dangerous. Tottenham now face a very specialist job. They need a manager with instant authority or charisma, someone who can get players to buy in immediately and perform under immense pressure. The next manager must start with the Nottingham Forest game, not Liverpool, so they have the chance to make an immediate impact and stabilize the team. But finding the right person isn't easy. This isn't a role just anyone can handle. The club must act decisively, but intelligently, because the squad culture, the timing, and the high stakes make this one of the most delicate managerial situations in the Premier League. Ultimately, Spurs are reaping the whirlwind of their own decisions. Unless Tudor pulls off a miraculous result against Liverpool, change is inevitable. But the question remains, who can truly save Tottenham? This isn't just about survival, it's In conclusion, Tottenham Hotspur are at a critical crossroads. Tudor's tenure has failed, the squad isn't suited to a relegation battle, and fans' frustrations are growing. The timing of the managerial change is key. Too early, and it could backfire. Too late, and the club risks disaster. Spurs need a decisive, specialist manager who can command respect immediately and get results. But finding the right person won't be easy. Ultimately, unless Tudor produces something miraculous against Liverpool, change is inevitable. The next decision will define the rest of Spurs' season and possibly the club's future. Success or failure hangs in the balance.